We're going to give you 7 great reasons why you should try container gardening this season. Guten Yardening, everybody! What is your native soil like? For a lot of us, it is not the ideal. Here in Zone 5, Wisconsin, at Guten Yardening, we have some pretty dense clay soil. But a lot of you probably have things like tons of rocks in your soil or really sandy soil. And just in general, it can be kind of difficult to grow in that native soil without a lot of modification to that soil. And so today we're going to talk to you about container gardening as a possible alternative to growing in your native soil. Beyond the fact that many of you probably don't even have a massive garden space anyway, and you might be limited to or restricted to a balcony or a patio, we're looking at a way to maximize growing space regardless of the amount that you have, and we think that container gardening is a great fit. Let's go ahead and get started with those 7 reasons. The first of which is that container gardening removes the necessity of amending your native soil. And not only does it remove the necessity of amending your native soil, but it also gives you complete control over the makeup of that mix that's in the container. And so we know that not every fruit or vegetable needs the same thing. So if you want to grow blueberries and you want to grow raspberries, you probably know that blueberries need a far more acidic soil than your raspberries prefer. And so with container gardening, you can grow both of them side by side and have a completely different mixture, a completely different way of fertilizing one versus the other side by side. That's a great little addition. Also, if you're growing root crops like carrots, for example, which like a really nice loose soil, something that it can dig down in really easily, well, growing in a container allows you to control that piece. So rather than spending a whole bunch of time and effort trying to fix soil for something like that carrot, what you can do is just set it up correctly in the first place. And again, you can create different containers with different types of mixtures to fit exactly what your plants need. The second reason is that containers are mobile, which means that they're easy to move around depending on what your lighting needs are, or even if you have at different times of the year, different kinds of wind issues, etc., you can move containers to where you need them. One of the things that comes to mind for this is a community member I was just talking to recently, and she told me that in her backyard, where she typically has had her garden in the past, well, there's a problem created by her neighbor's trees, which seem to grow in size exponentially every year. And so that area, which was her primary garden, is now being shadowed out. Well, she's not exactly going to go get the neighbor to cut down their trees, but what she can do if she's growing in containers instead is to move that location so she can get the proper amount of sun for the vegetables that she's growing. And so container gardening can be a great fit because it's so mobile. And third, container gardening is also flexible when it comes to size. And so you know there are a variety of shapes and sizes of our pots and our containers. And so depending on what you have, let's say you have a really tiny balcony, well, you can find a container that's going to be a good fit there. And in addition to that, some of the things you might want to grow, for example, our fig tree is a little bit bigger, so we need a larger pot for that. But pots can be situated side by side or in whatever construction you want them to be in. And so they're flexible to take up the amount of space that you have. And on top of that, you can consider more than just that length and width. You can also start thinking about height when it comes to container gardening. Now, we've done quite a few videos on our green stalk vertical garden, but that's a type of container that allows you to grow in a limited amount of space, but also to grow vertically. We did another video where we talked about why you should try vertical gardening this season, and we highly recommend you check that out. Also, if you've been considering container gardening and you think that a green stalk might be a good fit for you, there's a link in the description to a $10 off coupon for any order of $75 or more. You should check out that link and check out what they have in stock right now. Our key point here, though, is that whatever size space you have, there should be a container that will fit that space and make the most of it when it comes to gardening. Number 4, the look. Now, gardens are beautiful. Let's just full stop. Gardens are absolutely beautiful. There's nothing I like more than going out in July and seeing the masses of greens and different colors that I have growing out there. But you can add some serious, useful curb appeal to your property as well. That's one of the things that we've found. The containers can be quite beautiful looking, and of course the vegetable growing in the container is beautiful for multiple reasons. Take our potatoes, for example. I think that potatoes, before they die back, actually are quite beautiful. Their flower certainly is very beautiful. But think about the idea of useful curb appeal. The front of your house decorated with several containers filled with tomatoes or other vegetables. Think of the color that you could have out there with your tomatoes, and that beauty that you're adding to your property, you can also eat. So we're talking about looks, we're talking about curb appeal, and all of that is useful because you can consume it. Number 5, the mix when you're growing in containers is easy to refresh or renew. It's as simple as doing a quick soil test to see what nutrients you might be lacking in, then taking that container, emptying it out onto a piece of plastic or a tarp. We take a lot of our containers and put the mix in the same spot, and then we can go through and we can add amendments to it. We can fertilize it, whatever we need to do to get it ready again for the next season. It's a simple process, and because they're in containers, you refill them and you are ready to go again for the next growing season. Number 6, this is an easy way to test the waters when it comes to gardening. One of our commenters recently left this comment for us on one of our videos. She said, "We really have to help each other learn how to grow our own food. Too many people are intimidated by the process. I try to simplify it for my beginner friends. It's okay to start small." Now, she has a ton of other wisdom in this comment as well, but container gardening allows you to start somewhere. It gives you a foothold in, especially if you're a beginner gardener and you've never tried this before. We have a brick patio outside, and we started with one container on that brick patio, and now all the way lining that brick patio, we have containers to take advantage of space on top of a brick. Well, consider this. You're a brand new gardener. You've never tried it before, and all you want to do is to start with one plant. Well, you get your first container going. You get that first plant growing. You get your toes wet with gardening, and you will not believe what happens next. I guarantee you will want to expand that garden space and expand the number of containers that you have. And number 7, the experiments. Now, we love experiments here at Guten Yardening, and containers actually provide us with a great opportunity to do smaller scale experiments. Now, experiments might extend to just growing new fruits or vegetables that you've never tried before, but in a limited space, so you're not taking up a massive part of your garden. It might be experimenting on vegetables that you don't know if you can grow in containers, or that you want to see how much you can grow in containers, kind of like what we've done with some of our potatoes, where we've grown potatoes and pretty large amounts of potatoes in small grow bag containers. Containers provide a possibility to do something on a small scale that you can then try to replicate on a bigger scale as well. And because of all the other benefits that we've already laid out in the video, containers provide you with an opportunity that you might not otherwise have when it comes to gardening. And the way we look at it is this: at a time when food shortages are becoming more prevalent here in the United States, at a time when costs are going up, we want to do whatever we can to provide ourselves with food that we can enjoy, to decrease costs, to control the product. We want all of that in our power. And container gardening is a great start along those lines. Well, if you are brand new to gardening and you've never tried container gardening before, we hope you are encouraged to do so. And if you're somebody who already gardens in containers, we encourage you to expand out. Try your best to leave no space unused when it comes to the beautiful garden crops that you could be providing for your family out of your own container gardens. Well, we hope you enjoyed this video today, and if you did, don't forget to give us a like, leave us a comment, remember to share and subscribe, And most importantly, remember, when you're with us, you are good to grow.